guys will actually breed around June, July. They'll start to lay eggs, and so what we do is we give them hay, and they'll come up and lay their eggs, and after we feel like they're done laying their eggs, we'll actually collect them. And we'll incubate them, and then we'll sell them to the rest of the world. A reason why we do that is so that mom isn't protective and aggressive over her babies, because she'll actually have them with her for a whole year. So then for all year round, we'd have moms in here super angry, just aggressive, starting fights, and we don't want that at all. We want to keep everyone as happy as they can be. So we actually take away the babies. They don't really get it too much. They're just like assuming, oh, my eggs didn't hatch, and they're not that emotional really. They're again very good mothers because they have to be. About 99% of the babies that hatch do not actually make it to adulthood, and that's because of dangers and other animals, prey, predators and things like that. So depending on size of mom, she will lay 20 to 60 eggs. So it's a lot of babies. Again, out of all of those babies, only 1% make it. And it has to do with a lot of her helping. That first year, she'll have them with her, she'll protect them, but after that, she has to kick them out because they're big enough to eat her next batch of babies.
That's in wilderness, right? That's in
Yes, and here as well, but we don't let them do that. But if we were allowing them to have the babies, then they would do that as well. They would be aggressive for that whole year, then they would kick them out and keep laying eggs and do that again.
And how many % of the eggs you are able to
Most of the time they all
save?
hatch. I mean, we have them in an incubator, so we're very good about that. And then they get sold to the rest of the world. We have school programs that will actually take them in and do programs with them to a certain size.
So
and then they'll
almost
trade
all
them.
of them will survive, the eggs?
Most of them. A lot of they'll be duds. But it's pretty interesting. I mean, you guys will get to see later on. We have one. His name is Jitters, and he was born without his tail. So I mean, maybe that wouldn't have hatched in the wild, but because we have a certain, we have heat regulators. We're more professional. It's not like due to nature. So
That's nice.
hatch. So on land, these guys can reach about 35 miles per hour. The bigger the animal, the shorter it could run that fast, as these guys are pretty hefty. The heavier the animal, it's not going to run too fast. You want to be more afraid of the smaller guys. Regardless, though, run. These guys, that whole old zigzag, do not do that. Again, they cannot see in front of them, but they can hear you, and they can smell you. So if they hear you running, then you're going zigzag. You're actually giving them more peripheral to see you because they can see about, I forget the degrees, so like this much. So if you're running zigzag, they're like, I see you like coming into view every now and then, right? So they'll be able to chase you.
So run straight.
Yeah, just run straight, run as fast as you can.
That's good to know.
Yeah, these guys
Even
are
in the farm.
even in the farm. Hopefully, fingers crossed we don't have no situation. But I'm pretty good. I've been doing this for about 3 weeks now. I'm joking. 3 months. But in the water, these guys can reach about 20 miles per hour, and that's more than a bottlenose dolphin. That's pretty fast. In all the state of Florida, there's actually been more fatalities due to vending machines falling on people than alligator attacks. These animals are very afraid of humans. They are born with that fear. So they actually, here in Florida, it's illegal to feed them because once you feed them, they lose that fear of humans. And then that's actually why a lot of these guys have ended up in here. So these guys are considered nuisance gators. What that means is that they were caught in places they shouldn't have been, residential areas, places where people hang out, parks, things like that where people are around. And those animals shouldn't be there because number one, they think anyone's gonna feed them. So they can't tell the difference between you guys, adults, and a child. And that child's gonna be like, I'm in Snow White, this is Shrek, I'm in a movie, I'm gonna make best friends with this gator. That's not the situation at all. The alligator thinks it's gonna get fed, and the kid thinks it's gonna make a friend. And so we don't want that at all. So a lot of the times these guys get called, and thankfully they're brought here. Florida certifies trappers, but they do not pay them. So a lot of the trappers do kill the animal and sell all the parts of the body, the meat, bone, skin, everything. But these guys were fortunate enough to be caught by people that cared. And they don't care about the money, they just want to save the animal. So they were brought here. Although we are called Everglades Alligator Farm, we do not farm any of these animals. They get to live here for the rest of their life. And most of the time when people come to buy animals from us, because this is a privately owned place, you can't come and buy a gator from us, they're bought for pets, or just, pets, basically.
Of some sort.
So hopefully that's not the case, right? Because they feed them, and these guys are fed. So a lot of these guys, they're not, again, domesticated, right? But they don't fear humans. So these guys are quote unquote easy to train. I have one of the guys here actually that works here. He bought his gator from here, and he now swims in the pool.
You have to lift him, baby.
Yeah, and that animal was once a wild gator. So it's pretty interesting. These guys, there's actually a reason why there's shows done with alligators and not crocodiles. And crocodiles are very, very aggressive and very, very mean animals. and it's not their fault. They were just, made that way by nature. So they actually have a bunch of pressure sensories, and they have those along their heads and their whole face, which makes them more sensitive. It makes them more aggravated easily. Alligators also have these pressure sensories, but they actually only have it along their lips, like kind of like their mouths. Really, they don't have lips. And you can see it on this guy right here. All those little black dots along his mouth. Those are those pressure sensors, and they actually use those to feel out flesh. It's pretty cool. And all those spikes that they have on top of his body that you guys see, those are called osteoderms or scutes, and those are floating bones. And that's basically your armor. If they were to get stabbed or hurt or anything were to happen, it'll actually just fall off. It won't grow back, but it'll fall off and they're still protected. That's pretty cool.
That's nice.
Yeah. As long as they have working mouth and they can swallow and their tails are fine, these guys will survive. There's animals that have been known to be living out there that have no feet, but they're just nubs and they're just walking around, but they're being good. They can eat and they can swim. So as long as they can do that, these guys are pretty robust. I mean, they walked around with dinosaurs, so it's pretty cool. And there's actually only two species of alligator, the American alligator that we're looking at today, and the Chinese alligator, which is a very critically endangered species. There's only about 150 of them left in the wild that they know for sure are out there. Hopefully they can bring them back, but
Which one is bigger? Which one of them? Which one of
the American alligator
is bigger?
So the largest American alligator caught was 1890, and was 19 feet 2 inches. Very, very big animal, was caught in Louisiana.
6 meters. That's 19.
And these guys actually almost went endangered in 1968 due to overhunting and people just
6 meters.
let them out, things like that, for meat, skin, all this stuff. The leather is very, very hard, very good leather. I mean, at the end of the day, it's very, very strong. These animals are monsters when it comes to that. If we were to stop feeding them, they'd be okay for 2 to 3 years without eating. They'll be completely fine.
Really?
So we actually feed them every other month about 1,000 pounds of meat. They'll come in with a big bobcat and they just dump it in there, and everyone is estimated to eat at least 1 pound to 2 pounds of meat. Even then though, we do the shows here, which is 5 times a day. We do some feeding, so some guys get to come up and eat some, and we do the encounters, which is what we're doing today, and you guys get to do some feeding too. And we do 5 of those. So technically 10 times a day plus 1,000 pounds of food. Why are you making me have to yell? Jeez. You guys get your air pumps though, you'll be fine. No stress. He's a big lazy guy, so he's trying to warm up. He's like moving around, he's like trying to get that heat. They work like solar panels as well. It's pretty cool. They'll heat up sometimes as well. They'll open up their valves, and most of the time it's like, they'll open up their glottis, which is what keeps them from drowning when they break down and create a heat because they can't drown. It'll close up, so when they're actually up here trying to heat up, it'll open and they're letting in heat inside their body. Actually, they're cold-blooded, so they need to be
Czyli
able
są
to
tady
help
ty
them
ploty.
relax the inside as well. Pretty interesting. I think I brought all the facts down. Those are black vultures. We have black vultures and turkey vultures. Turkey vultures, kind of like women, they have like they're pretty cool. I believe they're bigger than these guys. And we also have dolphins. Fun fact about Florida, we actually have the second most amount of dolphins.
Jsou hodný, že se na nás přišli podívat. Tady to je plná voda krokodýlů tamhle vzadu. Ježkový zraky.
Pretty cool, since airboats actually run by air, they use air to propel, so they just I got airboats.